this thing right here.
Welcome to the Three Guys podcast, hosted by Brian, Derek, and yours truly, Brett. We are here today, and my first question from my brother is, how many massages do you go on? How many do you get? Seriously. Come on.
I used to go once a month, but unfortunately they get busy now because of the COVID. But I tell you, today was a great one. And they're all legal massages.
You get two free passes for, the two other guys in the room here.
Yeah, I can always get passes.
Brian, he lives for massages.
I do.
That's what happens. That's what happens when you get old.
Brian, I'm telling you guys now. I was telling my brother before we came on here. My therapist today, they got me so good. It was so nice. I mean, my tough spots, which you don't realize. Well, finally found someone that actually hit the spots, and it was incredible. Let's just put it that way.
Well, going back to Brian's blunder that we talked about a few episodes ago, I've had some therapy sessions, and had one today, as a matter of fact. And that's what they do, because when you hurt your calf, there's only a couple exercises you can do. So it's all massage and all that stuff. And I'm like, there's no pain. There's no pain. Then he goes like an inch over to like a fraction of an inch, and I feel like my leg's getting sawed off.
So how long more do you have to do that for?
Hopefully only the rest of this month. I have to see I'm seeing the orthopedist on Wednesday, but I gotta say the Whittier Rehab's good. I'll give them a shout out. Whittier Rehab on Ward Hill and Haverhill, very professional.
So you can feel a difference, like in the way you walk right now.
Yeah, I can walk much better. I've been doing some light walking on my stairs. I'm not doing any jogging or running. They say that it's a good month. So the injury happened March 11th or 12th. So hopefully next week I'll be able to do some light jogging. That'd be good because it's going to start getting warm out.
So we could take you off the injured reserve list.
Yeah, man, I'll be dressing pretty soon. You know me. I'll be at the end of the bench getting the water for you, Brett.
You get
You'll be dressing. You'll be dressing. What does that mean?
I'll be off of IR, but I'll be just dressing for the game.
But the question is,
so give us who's going to come out of the National League. Brett, you got to write these down so we can remember them in the fall.
I got you.
Who's going to come out of the National League in the World Series?
Yeah, give us
an easy
National
one.
League.
Los Angeles Dodgers.
Okay. Editorial note. He's a Dodger fan, everybody.
That's an editorial note. That's a side note.
Parentheses.
Yeah.
All right. American League.
That's a tough one. I'd go with the easy route, but I'm going to say the Chicago White Sox.
Okay. All right. And you want to give us a World Series champion?
Oh, the Dodgers. It's not even because I'm a Dodgers fan. That team is stacked.
All right. So we got those written down, Brett.
Yeah, I got them.
All right. So the last thing I want to do, a funny story that involves me asking Derek about preseason predictions. And it goes back to 1999. We were talking, it was the summer of 99. We were talking about, hey, who's going to be the football team to watch? And he's, Brian, it's going to be at the time, the St. Louis Rams. He's like, I feel the St. Louis Rams. This was when they had Vermeil. This was before the greatest show on turf. Derek was all over it. But I said, Dad, why? What? I don't know. It was Trent Green. Trent Green is going to be the QB to lead them all the way. And I think within 2 days, Trent Green broke his femur and was out for the entire season. But they went on to win the Super Bowl. So.
I was half right.
Anyway, well, thank you very much, Derek, for the yes, no, or maybes. It wasn't really yes, no, maybe. It was more.
We have another guest today, guys. His name is Mike Owens, and we're ready to bring him in, Derek.
Yeah, I just let him know, and we're just waiting on him to get on here now. So give him a minute or two.
Right.
And Mike Owens is a close friend. Well, I mean, Brian, I don't know how well you know Mike, but I've known Mike for probably about 20 years now.
Yeah. So
soon
you
as
guys
he
worked
will come
together
in.
a little. You guys worked together for a
Yeah, he worked in my
little
law
bit,
office. Yeah, he was working in my law office, and unfortunately, when the pandemic hit, I had to cut back on my staff, and he took a step back. But he's actually had the time to create his own business to keep him going, and that's what I guess this whole podcast is for, right? You know, the people who started up and where they are now, and he had to reinvent himself and find something. He may have to reinvent himself on how to get on the Zoom call, but that's beside the point.
Well, as he gets on, the one thing that we should tell the listeners that most of our first guests are going to be people that we know, people that we have connections to, but they all have sort of that entrepreneurial spirit coming out of them that will, I think, have a good story to share with us.
Yeah, and I think that other people potentially might find networking opportunities with some of these people, right? So, we had Joe on when that episode post, and there may be someone out there that wants to know a little bit about producing or acting, and then you got Mike. We have him coming on. We're going to talk a little bit more about his what he's been doing during this kind of pandemic and some of the work he's kind of getting himself involved with that people might. What's going on, brother?
Nothing. How you been?
Not too bad, man. Welcome to the Three Guys podcast. Thank you for joining us, man.
Thank you for having me.
So, Mike,
yes,
I'm on your Facebook here. We want to dive into some of the things that you're up to now, but how did you? I obviously met you through my brother, but how long have you known my brother for?
Geez, it's got to be. I don't know. It's got to be more than 20 years, right? 25, 20.
Yeah.
I'd actually met him, Derek.
Just be careful where you're going with this.
Yeah. Well,
I don't need to knock on the door.
So I think it might have been, I don't know, it was like 2000, 2001 maybe.
Yeah.
I think I knew of you growing up and stuff. And, but then, Keith, I think he invited me over to Derek's to watch over when you were at Forward Drive, watching Patriots Steelers game.
That's probably where I met you, Mike. I guarantee you that's probably where we sat down a couple of times when he used to stack the two TVs on each other. Do you remember that? You used to stack two TVs on top of each other so you could watch the Channel 25 game and the Channel 4 game.
I think I had a TV in the background.
Oh, yeah, there was a TV in the background.
Yeah,
you're right, Brian.
Like in the bar section. Yeah, it wasn't stacked on each other, though.
You're right.
Brian's exaggeration part.
I just remember he had like the chairs from Showcase Cinemas
theater. That's right. That's where.
And then everybody was downstairs watching the game, and Derek was by himself upstairs
watching the Steelers.
Because it was Steelers Patriots playoff game.
Did you hear the house shaking and something going against the wall?
Oh, he knew. I threw him on the house.
So Mike, I got to tell you a funny story involving that whole thing. So it was the first time the Steelers, not the first, it was one of the first times they played. It was the 2001 time. And I think you might have been there. We were watching it in one spot. Derek was watching it in another. And he had all his stuff. He had his shirts, his hats, his pillows. He had everything out. But I'll never forget, he had his Steelers blanket. And he was folding it like it was like a ceremony and putting it away. And he carried it up like it was like a service.
I'm going to tell you.
I remember that.
It's a true story.
I remember that. Because I remember him having all the stuff upstairs, being superstitious or whatever it was. But I remember.
I'm going to tell you right now, you two, if podcasts don't work out for both of you, you guys should go to the library and tell stories to children because you both can exaggerate everything.
So, Mike, we're trying not to make this podcast about the pandemic, and it's probably going to come up with a lot of people that we have on. So Derek tells us you kind of got your this flag making thing because of the pandemic, but kind of start us before. Tell us what was going on when what you were doing as the pandemic came on, and what you're doing. Let's just want to know.
So, I was working, I was working for Derek, and he really kept me on as long as he really could. You know what I mean? Probably even longer than he should have. But so then it was like my buddy, he always wanted a flag, but he just couldn't justify paying the money for it. And I knew his 50th was coming up, and I was just like, you know what? I think I could make that. And so I ended up just kind of pulling up a YouTube video, and I just kind of followed step by step, and I ended up it took me a while. I mean, I made a lot of mistakes. I had to start over on one thing and sand off the other stuff, and so I finally kind of got it done, and where I was like, all right, well, it's good enough to get to him. So when I gave it to him, he literally had a tear in his eye, and he was just so happy. And then somebody had said to him, like, hey, think you'd make one for me? And I kind of just went from there, making them. But then I was just I was just making them for people at the beginning for free, because I was like, I can't charge people for this. You know what I mean? Because it was, I wasn't, I just didn't think it was something I did because I wasn't like a carpenter. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't, just a woodworking craftsman. I just started doing it, and then I was doing it more and more and more because people liked them, and then that's when people started. Then other people that I didn't know would want one, and then I just started. I didn't even know what to charge.
You do the cornhole boards too, right? You made those?
Yep, I made that last summer. I made one, and came out. That was just pretty easy because Home Depot actually makes the board itself, like the top part, like the exact measurements of the cornhole dimensions. I just went on to Amazon and bought the hole saw. They actually make a hole saw that for your drill that's the exact for the cornhole board, and then it's just the rest of it's 2x4s, so it was easy.
Dude, I envy the stuff. I mean, what did you learn to do carpentry? Because I don't know shit about carpentry, and I envy people that can do those things and just build stuff. And I felt like younger, I went in high school when they did those classes that I should have done wood shop a little bit more and paid more attention. So what did you learn to do some of this carpentry?
It literally was last summer, because I've always wanted to, and Lori's dad had passed away, and he was a master electrician. He had all kinds of tools in the garage, and her mom was just like, yeah, go in and take whatever you want, so I pretty much got everything I would need to kind of get started. And then my neighbor next door is a union carpenter, and I wanted to do the outside shower that was out there. So he and I built it, and I just sat there and I just studied him and just studied him and studied him. You know what I mean? As far as just doing it. And then, he wasn't able to, do some stuff one day, and I'm like, yeah, I think I can do this. You know what I mean? So I would do do a section of, something that I knew I could do. And I just started clicking a little bit, you know what I mean? But I obviously didn't have the confidence, but, I'm not going over Brian's house and putting up a new deck anytime soon, but, I'm sure I could do it, as far as, but then I've just been pretty much nonstop, ever since started that. Then I went on to the cornhole boards, and then the flags, and then I didn't want to be one dimensional just doing flags, so I just been doing other stuff too. So
Derek put one on Facebook of the Steelers, which I thought was super cool. So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, well, before we finish, we'll get websites or contact information. But maybe ask now. I mean, what's a good way to people to get in contact with you or message you to see if it's a project you could do for them?
They can, reach me through Facebook, or they can email me, at AmericanMadeByTheSea@gmail.com. And, they just go from there. I had made a flag for Mark's Deli, and people started contacting me. But it's funny because, people will say, they just send a messenger message and how much for flags? You know what I mean? But it's, they're different because you start getting into specialty ones, or, if you want it framed, if you want a certain finish on it, if you want epoxy, if you want polyurethane, if you want it lacquered, and you know what I mean? So there's just different costs. I mean, there's just not one set cost. You know what I mean?
How many have you completed at this point? Or, I mean, if it's a number that you don't want to talk about, that's...
No, that's fine. I was, I've probably done about 50 of them so far.
Wow.
Would have been your top 5 that you've enjoyed doing? I mean, do you enjoy doing this when you're doing it?
I do. I'm stressed out because I want it to come out perfect. I do it. I really want it to come out perfect. And so, my top ones are, I love doing the Mark's Deli one, because that was a big time challenge, because the Greek flag, because he wanted the Greek flag going into the American flag. And the Greek flag going from left.
I saw that one too. That was nice.
Yeah, that was good.
And so, because the Greek flag has 9 stripes and the American flag is 13, so you had to kind of because everything has to match up. So that was a lot of thinking and math and trying to do that. But that one was, and state police one, that I enjoy doing that. And I love doing the Steelers one, because that was easy, but because I hand painted the Steelers logo. But that was, I enjoyed doing that. The sports ones, I love doing those. But yeah, that one. And I'm just trying to
now,
think.
Mike, if someone was to call you up and could you do anything for someone? I mean, does it have to be, or do you can do anything? So
yes, because I actually have 3 people that I can reach out. I have this one woman named Natalie out of Merrimack, New Hampshire. She's awesome. And what I do is, when someone says, hey, can you do this for me? I'll always kind of on a text or an email or something, I'll always contact her first with the image, and I'll say, hey, can you do this? And she says, yeah, no problem. You know what I mean? So she can do it for me, as far as graphic designer and stuff like that. And like the head coach of the Bedford high school hockey team reached out to me. They just won the state championship in New Hampshire, and they want me to do a flag for the team. And so I sent her the image, and she said, yeah, no problem. So, but she hasn't said no once.
Mike, I don't know. I don't even know if you mentioned this or one of the guys asked about it. What, for the listeners to know, we're saying flags, they know what they're made out of and what we're talking about. What are they made out of? What some of the other, you kind of describe some of the process that you that goes into it. So
when I first was watching the guy that was making them, he was using, it's a 1x2, and he was using strapping. It was like strapping wood. And so, I went and I started doing that, but that board for an 8-foot board is like $1.30. And when I started doing it, the first few flags I did, I mean, it was literally taking me 45 minutes just to find 9 straight pieces, because the strap, it's just they're all warped, they're cracked. Some of them look like boomerangs. That's just so bad. So I would be there for 45 minutes trying to find 9 straight pieces.
What are you going to Home Depot?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So then I said, you know what? This is ridiculous. And I said, they're not that nice looking. They're just cheap looking.
Mhm.
And so I said, you know what? If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. I'm going to do it nice. So I went over to the next aisle, which is the premium pine, which comes out to about, I don't know, it's like $5.50 per board.
Mhm.
But they're straight as an arrow. They're smooth. And so then I started doing that. And then instead of just doing 13 boards, I started doing the union part was separate. It's one solid piece because it just looked, it looked cheap and just not that great. And so that's when I started doing that. So even though my cost to make them is more money than others, they're actually nicer and better because I'm using better stuff.
Size, do you keep to a standard size, or could someone that's interested in get like different sizes?
Yeah, I mean, I can do, like the average size that, people are getting is 36 by 20. But the one I made for Steve was, I think it was like 48. Yeah, it was 48 by 20 because there was 2 flags put together. So, and then if somebody wants, Lori wants me to make her a smaller flag. It's just like basically kind of like an American flag, but it just has a red heart in the Union.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff that the girls find on, I don't know, what's that, Etsy or whatever it is.
So is she doing, are you doing that piece? So the one with the American flag and the Greek flag, are you doing that piece of that, or is she doing it?
I am. I'm
You're
doing. The only thing that she made for me was the Mark's where it says Mark's Deli in the middle.
Oh, okay. I'm with you.
So I hand painted everything else.
So how long did that take you to do, and how long does this typically take you to do?
So that one was it was longer because of just because of how the difficulty of trying to match up the 9 with the 13. So I had to get wider boards and then I'm just trying to figure out. I put a piece down the middle, right down the center, but that one took me, I don't know, probably a couple weeks. Where the Steelers won, that was a couple of days. So I started it, and I forget what day I gave it to him, but I had started it in the morning the day before, and then I, spent some of the day doing it. Then the next day I got up and worked on it for a couple of hours, and then I finished it. And I just texted him and said, "Hey, you home?" And he said, "Yep." And that was it. I didn't want to tell him anything. Just kind of just dropped it off to him.
You mentioned before about trying to get it perfect, and this is my question. I'm always intrigued by, what do you do in that moment? You're trying to make it perfect. What is your kind of way of managing your own expectations and emotions and yourself throughout that process?
Mike's got to dig deep on this one.
Well, it's just,
it can get painstaking. You're looking at it, you're looking, is this good? Is this good? You said it yourself. I don't know if this is good enough. Can I sell it? Can I make money off of this?
Right. I'm always.
But how do people guide themselves through that? Everyone has a different way to do that.
And well, what I do is it's trying to match up to make sure that the stars are straight and perfect. And so with the wood and everything, with cutting and everything, I actually have 2 miter saws, and I made a template where I instead of measuring every time 36 measuring and marking. So what I did was I made a template. So I just take the piece of wood, I put it on, I slide it over, and it stops. I made a stopper,
mm-hmm.
and then I just cut it, boom, boom. You know what I mean? So it's perfect every time. And then I did that on the other side because the first 7 are 22 inches because take into consideration you have part of the union, so the stripes to the right of the union are 22 inches. So I was doing that, and then I just got to make sure everything's lined up straight. You know what I mean? Perfect. And there are so many times where I put on the stars and everything, and then I'm looking at it and I'm like, nah, it's crooked. So now I'm standing it all on.
Now, Mike, if someone wanted to buy one of these, is it just local, or is it anyone across the country? You mailing these out? I mean, how's it work so far? Can anyone buy one right now?
Yeah, I mean, I have been putting them on eBay, and I have sold a couple, but I kind of ran into some issues at first when I first started because I didn't put in the weight of it. So because they calculate the shipping. Mm-hmm. So, but that's something that I would need to figure out as far as, because I want to tie into the cost of everything, because I want to make it affordable for people. Because, I don't want to scare people away that says, a flag for, $150 and, $55 for shipping. You know what I mean? I don't want to do that, so that's why I don't mind making them a little cheaper, you know what I mean? And then putting in, so just the people think that, this guy's, that's not a bad price, because no matter what I come in at, it's going to be cheaper than what other people are charging. And then put free shipping. And that's that's key. Well,
that's key. I mean, you can see this, and I can tell. And I think one of our friends asked you to do one where the flag was it a burnt flag? Is that what it was?
I'm sorry.
I said one of our friends asked you to do one with a burnt flag? Did you do those as well, right?
Yes,
with a flag?
I started. Yeah, so you do like where say the American flag, you do the red, and then where the white would be is burnt. Like I take a torch and I go with the grain of the wood, so it comes out and pops out, and then once you put polyurethane over that, it actually brings it out more. It almost looks like 3D. It's a pretty cool process. And I watched. It was funny because when I first watched the guy, that's how he was doing the do-it-yourself one for the American flag. As you probably, if you could have seen the first flag going up to now, where at first it was just like a burn mark, like it was, you know what I mean? Because it's kind of like you kind of flow with it. You kind of like, you know what I mean? It took me a while, but I got used to it after a while. But it's something that people really like, especially.
Man, look, this State Trooper one is unbelievable. You did. I mean, that stands out. It's so realistic. It's great, and I see the American flag you did. But you also do things. I don't mean, Brian, just one more question. But you also do what you call them? Noodles and Lazy Susans? Is that what they are?
Yeah, people are calling them. This is what they're calling them, and they're a huge seller, and it's just kind of like a new craze now. I don't know where it came from, but they're called Noodle Boards, and it goes on top of your stove, and it especially if someone has like a glass top, it protects it, and it's got like candles, and you can use it for like storage, where you can put like salt and pepper on it. You can put like olive oil or spices or whatever. You put it on it, and it's kind of a decorative piece that covers it, your stovetop. And that's just something that it's been huge, and I saw people on eBay were asking $90, and I'm like, what? They're not that they're not expensive to make at all. So I was like $65, and they first started charging $55, and then people were just contacting me left and right, and and then I just like today I just drove to Woburn to a woman bought 2 of them off me. So I just
vision of where you might want to be 6 months from now, a year from now, are you just kind of enjoying the moment, which is totally okay, and you should, because it sounds like you're working really hard. But do you have any big picture plans of where you think you might go with this whole thing?
Well, I'm just trying. Yeah, I'd like to be able to make this, full time, and I'm just really trying to get my name out there. I've actually made a few signs for businesses that I made for free, and asked if I could have it put up in their building. When people coming in.
Yeah, great idea.
Like a local work. I made a really nice American flag, and I had like exactly how they have their logo that says the Dow Company Inc. And I had that put on it, and they actually loved it. And so the guy actually put it right when you walk in. It's like, you can't miss it. You know what I mean? So and I was happy that he did, was put it right there. He took something else down and put it there, and I've actually have made, and that was only maybe like a month ago, and I've made I don't know, like 5 off of that, like people seeing it. And because you get vendors coming in, you get where she works constantly coming in, and then the girl that sits right there, that's her desk is right there, so she greets people that come in. So I gave her a bunch of my business cards to when people come in and ask, and she promotes it, and kind of will explain. So I actually made her one for free. You know what I mean? Because she actually got me like 5 business people off of it. So
that's great.
Mind for you, if hopefully it does open up these fairs, because I got one of those signs made for my wife, and I got a Nazarian's sign made. We went to Topsfield Fair, but I'm picturing, if you're able, I don't know what the cost is, and I'm sure it's super expensive, so maybe it's not Topsfield Fair, but even some of these local ones, you being able to go there and show your stuff, man, I'm sure you would do a gold mine there. Hopefully those come back.
It was funny because Lori and I have signed up for craft fairs over the summer. Like,
yeah, smart.
So they're not bad. It's for 2 days. It's like $250 to do that. But we did a craft fair in Tewksbury, and it was $300 for the whole month of December.
Oh,
and it was in like in an old CVS building. A woman rented it out, and it was $300 for the whole month. And it was a set it and forget it. So they went in and they did your inventory. And I went and, I made a bunch of flags, and I think I sold like 5, which is not bad. You know what I mean? And Lori made some stuff. Her mother made some stuff. And, but I do kind of, they didn't advertise at all. And they had this like one little banner hanging like below, and it was just kind of like, if you went to, I don't know, I think it was like an Ocean State job lot next door. If you went by and happened to just see it and walk in, like they didn't do it right as far as, but it was cheap, and it was, I sold 5 of them. So
the pandemic, it's tough. I think once that clears, people are allowed to, somewhat normalcy, and hopefully in the late summer, early fall, they'll have, bigger fairs, and you could actually do those things, and have more, and have more access to people where they see your work. I know for sure. I know Mike has patience to do all this stuff, because he tells a story about him and the Gingerbread House. And Mike can tell the story about the Gingerbread House, what he did. Go ahead, Mike. Share the story about when you were with all the women, and they were marveling over your gingerbread house because you were taking time with precision and everything else you were doing with it.
So Lori had signed myself up and Maddie to do like just gingerbread making thing. And so we went, and I don't know, like I just took pride in making it. And I was the last one that was like still kind of like working. Everybody else was done. They kind of just slapped theirs together, and here I am, like I'm making like a almost like a what do you call it? Like a stone walkway. I was making a stone walkway out of the Necco wafers. So it was like almost like a slate, like pieces of slate. I was really taking my time and just really doing it. And next thing I'd look up because I was really in the zone, just like doing it. And I turned around and I looked around and there was like 10 women standing behind me. And they were like, just kind of like, oh my God, like, because I just took a lot of pride in doing it. And then, Maddie was embarrassed but Lori loved it. She thought it was funny. And
Maddie's your daughter, so everyone knows.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And they were taking pictures and stuff. And it was just funny. And I don't know, like, it's just something I
definitely get those pictures out. We'd like to definitely share those when we're posting out there. And so, listeners can see what they actually look like. And, between our Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and our own personal pages, get some marketing out there for that. And obviously if you need any assistance with, building some of those pages, like we're obviously here to do it. Some of us know how to do that. And, there's sometimes, Mike, there's listeners out there too that are doing this on the side, like helping build businesses with social media. So, someone might be your taker on that as well,